More on that story, and to do that, we're joined by Untu General Secretary Steve Harris, who's with me in studio here on ENCA Now today. Afternoon to you, Steve. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Fifth incident in a matter of months. What is going on in the Cape?
Well, obviously there seems to be some torching happening there, and we don't know whether we can call it a third force. But there's definitely something going on, and we need a serious investigation. And this is why we're calling on the Minister of Police to get a team together to investigate. Fortunately, up to now, it's been carriages that have been empty. There's been no serious injuries. However, you can imagine our fear from our train drivers and our train guards while those coaches are burning and the damage it's causing. And when we met the minister earlier with his budget speech, he indicated that he's going to make money available to have coaches rebuilt. But the more they're burning, the less it's going to be available to transport our commuters.
We are 5 incidents in here. There seems to be a pattern in the style of the attacks, the location. This is generally done, it appears, in these 5 incidents as trains approach stations. You know this, PRASA knows this, the police should know this. What is making it so difficult to stop then?
Well, obviously we're not using the specialized investigators. PRASA as itself hasn't got that type of staff to be able to do those investigations. And this is why we're now calling on the Minister of Police to put a task team together so that they can start investigating exactly what is going on. Because PRASA just hasn't got the ability, with all due respect to them, to be able to do the investigations themselves.
But Steve, is this really a matter that requires the police minister's intervention instead of, say, getting the local police officials and perhaps the guys at PRASA to now come together and make a plan to secure train stations in Cape Town?
Well, they have done that, and that's why the incidents have decreased on the Natrach line. But this is something now that's sporadically come afresh, and we need to go and sit down together, but we need a national intervention. The local intervention is not assisting in this process, and this is why we're calling on the Minister of Police, and not only the Minister of Police, the Minister of Transport. And we've requested earlier this year that we need an urgent investigation and an urgent discussion with them at that level so that we can sit down and put our minds together to find solutions so that we can protect the trains that are used by millions of our commuters.
I'm interested then in the impact that all of these arson attacks have had on your members, your train drivers and some of the people who work on these coaches. Earlier you mentioned the issue of fear. How has it impacted their day-to-day ability to go about their work?
Well, you can imagine currently we have quite a few people that are fearful to go to work because they don't know what is the incident that they're going to find themselves in. And you can imagine yourself getting up 6 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning to take the first train out and not having to know whether your train is going to be torched or not. So your family is just as under pressure because they don't know whether their husband or their wives are going to get home safely after their day shift.
I'm still baffled by what cause anyone would have to torch a metro rail train, because we know in the past we've covered instances where trains were torched because commuters themselves are unhappy with services running late. Has that been ruled out as a possible cause of what we're seeing?
I think so, because the service at this point in time is not running 100%, but it has improved drastically in the last few months. Since the January stopping of the Natrach trains running. But however, we doubt it whether this is commuters that are doing this, because the commuters themselves will know that they'll have to find other alternative transport modes, which is at much higher tariffs, which they can't afford at this point in time.
So lastly, beyond this call for Police Minister Pekicele to set up some sort of team, a task team to deal with these arson attacks on trains in Cape Town, what else will you as Untu, as a union, be doing to put further pressure on the authorities?
Well, obviously, we'll call for an urgent meeting with PRASA as soon as possible. There is a pending meeting, but we'll use that pending meeting to discuss this. However, if the last resort is we'll have to return to court because our court action has not been removed, our court action is just put on hold. And that will then try and force the minister and his teams to go and get the proper task teams involved and to do the investigations.
Sidi, for now, let me thank you. Hopefully, the next time we speak to you, the situation will have improved somewhat. That was Untu General Secretary Steve Harris speaking to us about the union's concerns after a fifth attack on a train in Cape Town. That is